So I like restorative practices, especially in a school building, because it sets up a framework that allows children and adults to take responsibilities for their behaviors, the good and the bad behaviors, and then learn from that. It also allows for the quote unquote victim to hear that the other person's taking responsibility for their actions, what might have driven them to make that decision, and then together they co-create ways to keep it from happening again. Um, and instead of just having a gut reaction, you hit so and so, therefore you get this many demerits, and here's the chart for what the demerits mean. And then nobody learns anything. But again, if you use a framework of restorative practice, you stop the whole thing. It doesn't mean you stop teaching. It could be that you take note of it and say, we'll address this at another time today. Please be thinking about what happened in the scenario, what you wanted, and what you wanted from the other person. Because usually it's he hit me or she hit me or took my pencil. And so once you give them some reflection time, they come back together. A student may say, yes, I just grabbed his pencil because I really liked it. It was shiny. And then a facilitator can say, and so what's something else you could have done? I could have asked for the pencil. And then if they say no, then I have to accept that. So as it provides that framework for the back and forth around who's responsible, who's not, how to sincerely say, you know what, I really don't want to snatch your pencil anymore because I understand what it means to you. And then everybody learns some empathy and compassion from that.
So why restorative practices? Because we all need opportunities to learn to restore and fix behaviors. And it's a great opportunity in indigenous communities, which is where the restorative practice concept even begins. They sit in circles typically, and they talk about whatever issues are troubling their community. So restorative practices, we truly build, we discuss building communities. So at the beginning of the year, your child may have come home a lot and talked about their learning community. In the class, the K through 2 classes that I teach, the first month, we just talked about what is a community, what do you do in a community, because we want our children to grow, to be productive citizens who are active, positive members of our community.
When children experience trauma, they have no voice, they have no way to express that, and oftentimes it comes out as aggression or anger, right? But being at a school that operates in a fashion that we do, we put restorative practice in place. It gives students a time to reflect about their action, reflect upon any harm that they cause, and then unlike society, we don't throw them away, right? When kids are at home, they're not at a space where they can learn from their actions or have accountable protocols in place. Here, we do restorative practice, but we also have consequences for your actions. For instance, when students get into it, we bring them together and we talk about it, right? And if they're the one that caused the harm, they get an opportunity to repair that harm. And then if it affected the whole class gets involved. We have restorative practices where they have to be reacclimated to coming back into the classroom, meaning they're owning, I made a mistake, I'm going to do better.
Hi, I'm Katie Clark, the business manager here at Toomer Elementary. And here at Toomer, with restorative practices, we believe strongly that if a child does not know how to read, we teach them to read. If a child is struggling with writing, we support them in getting better at writing. And if a child is struggling with managing their emotions and their reactions to stimulus around them, then we support them in helping learn how to manage those things.
I think that restorative practices is great here at Toomer, because it's less punitive. And so what that means is basically, instead of just sending kids to suspension or detention, we really try to find out like what's going on at the root for the behavior. So, like, is there something happening at home? Was there a trigger in class that we don't know about? And based off of that information, we try to come up with a plan to best support the student instead of just basically get rid of them and suspend them or put them somewhere else.
I feel some of the skills that students gain through restorative practices, number one is empathy, right? It's this idea that we are a community, and regardless if you are from Edgewood, Eastlake, or Kirkwood, we are all Toomer Cougars under this building. And so when we are here, we have to acknowledge how our actions impact others. And once you have the opportunity to hear other people's perspective, you are enlightened, right? You have this openness. So being open-minded, having empathy for others, as well as being responsible and reflective. Those are all principles of restorative practices, which I think are principles that we need in our world.